Studying in the United States requires an enormous capital investment. For international students, the combined cost of tuition, housing, and basic living expenses routinely exceeds $70,000 every single year. To bypass this financial barrier, applicants often search for a specific admissions policy known as Need-Blind. Under this system, a university evaluates your academic record and extracurricular achievements without ever looking at your financial background or your ability to pay. This scorecard lists the institutions offering Need-Blind admissions: Harvard, Yale, Princeton, MIT, Amherst, Dartmouth, Bowdoin, Washington and Lee, Brown, and Notre Dame. If accepted, these schools guarantee to meet 100% of your demonstrated financial need, replacing student loans entirely with institutional grants. While this policy offers a path to full funding, applying exclusively to these 10 schools carries a high statistical risk of ending the admission cycle without a single offer. Because these 10 institutions take on the entire financial burden, they are highly restrictive. For the global applicant pool, acceptance rates routinely plunge below 5%. Gaining entry to these engineering and research hubs requires an academic profile that places the applicant in the top 1% of the global pool. Compare that to an applicant whose family has over $300,000 in available liquidity. For them, the distinction between a need-blind and need-aware school is largely irrelevant. Full-pay international students bypass the financial aid bottleneck completely. Their applications are weighed on their merits, without the university factoring in the cost of subsidizing their education. For the majority of international applicants who require aid, focusing only on this elite group creates a bottleneck. Without a broader list, many students find themselves without a single acceptance to a U.S. institution. This leaves you with a choice between 3 distinct pathways. Path 1 is fighting for a seat at the Need-Blind elite. The input required here leaves zero margin for error: a globally competitive academic and extracurricular profile. We are seeing slight expansion in this tier. Institutions like Dartmouth extended their Need-Blind policy to international students, starting with the class of 2026. The outcome of this path is significant. You receive an admissions decision purely on your merits, and you are guaranteed to graduate debt-free. But extending this promise requires massive endowment growth, which is why Notre Dame is only now joining the list for 2029. The trade-off is mathematical. Because the probability of rejection is so high, none of these institutions can function as a reliable safety school. Path 1 offers financial certainty if you are accepted, but it is the route most likely to result in 0 acceptances if your profile isn't at the absolute top of the pool. Path 2 navigates need-aware admissions. Under this policy, the university actively factors your ability to pay into borderline admission decisions. This quadrant chart maps acceptance rates against financial generosity. Most prestigious U.S. universities fall into this need-aware category. To succeed, your strategy must pivot to aggressively hunting for specific institutional merit scholarships. This strategy expands your target list significantly. Instead of relying solely on demonstrated financial need, you are competing for tuition coverage based on specific talents and achievements. For example, Vanderbilt University remains need-aware for international students, but they offer the Cornelius Vanderbilt Scholarship to cover full tuition based on academic excellence. Similarly, the University of Southern California uses programs like the Trustee Scholarship to attract international talent, offering full tuition awards regardless of your financial background. If you request heavy need-based aid at these schools without winning one of their merit scholarships, your application becomes a financial liability to the university, reducing your chances of admission. Path 3 is the pragmatist route, the 2+2 Global Transfer Agreement. This involves starting your education at an open-access U.S. community college for the first 2 years. You enroll in institutions like Lower Columbia College, holding direct transfer agreements with major four-year universities. This timeline illustrates how the bachelor's degree is split. Instead of a standard 4-year block, you complete 2 years at a community college, then transfer. By splitting the degree, you shrink tuition and living expenses by half for the first 2 years. If you maintain your grade point average, this route provides a clear pathway to complete a bachelor's degree at top regional universities like the University of Washington. The trade-off here is prestige and campus culture. You forfeit the name brand recognition of an elite campus and miss traditional freshman year dorm networking. You sacrifice early prestige to secure a half-price U.S. degree, avoiding the heartbreak and statistical uncertainty of Ivy League rejection letters. This flowchart maps your reality. First, can you pay $75,000 a year? If yes, ignore need-blind status, focus on fit. If you need financial aid, are your grades in the global top 1%? If yes, target need-blind elites, hedging with need-aware merit scholarships. This highlights a common hurdle. When aid requirements are high but credentials aren't at the global top, the admissions math rarely adds up. That brings us to the final branch of the tree: strong students who require significant cost savings to make a U.S. degree possible. If you fall into this demographic, your most effective route is to bypass the need-blind elite and focus your efforts on 2+2 transfer programs. The need-blind list is a significant resource for the top 1%, but it doesn't serve the broader international applicant pool. Ultimately, a successful application requires aligning your financial reality with the specific tier of the American system that can actually support it.